Hey all, it's Matt, your average gamer, and this is going to be a little bit of side content where we're going to do the top 5 non-bleed dexterity builds on my alternate channel. This is going to be a lot of fun as I've rated these for both power and how much I enjoy them too. So it's a mix of both, and the first one up here is the Giant Hunt Sword Spear. Giant Hunt is a really good Ash of War. It does good posture damage, good damage in general, and you can take advantage of how much damage it can do with the Sword Spear because the Sword Spear is great and keen with amazing base damage and an A in Dexterity. Let's jump into equipment. And in a second here, we're going to go over equipment. We have the Keen Guardian Sword Spear with Giant Hunt on it for a lot of damage. Any seal will do for buffs. You can check out the armor set there. Shard of Alexander, Ritual Sword and Shield Talisman, Green Turtle Talisman, Stonebark Crack Tier, Faith Tier. Let's talk about stats. Now the stats I'm going to go over quickly because guess what? They're going to be the same for pretty much everything. We're using Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. We have 60 Vigor, 26 Endurance, 22 Mind, and we have 70 Dexterity for a well-rounded and powerful Sword Spear Giant Hunt build. The next one up here is an incredibly popular weapon, and that is the Bolt of Gransax. This weapon has been crazy good since launch time, has a ton of range and really fantastic lightning damage. It's also chargeable too, and it does extra damage against the majority of dragons in the game. Odds are you've probably used the Bolt of Gransax before because it's extremely popular, as I mentioned. It's a powerful weapon. The range is really absurd on it. It does have a quite ridiculous amount of range. It's useful for a lot of the bosses in the game, and as I mentioned, dragons, most of them, other than the lightning ones, will take extra damage. The only downside for the Bolt of Gransax for me personally is the fact that we're on New Game Plus 7 for all the footage here. By the time you get to New Game Plus and beyond, particularly Journey 3 or later, it does have a little bit of a falling off point as far as the damage goes. It's much better on New Game and New Game Plus. Basically, once you get to that point where you're on New Game Plus 2, New Game Plus 3 or later, everything dexterity-wise starts to work a lot better when you have the percentage damage and you go with the bleed type builds. But in this video, we're doing non-bleed dexterity builds. Let's talk about equipment. For equipment, we have the Bolt of Gransax, preferably plus 10, any seal for buffs. You can check out the armor set. We're using the same armor set. Shard of Alexander, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon because it is chargeable, Lightning Scorpion Charm, Lightning Tier, Faith Tier. Let's talk about stats. And as far as the stats, they're the same once again. Keep in mind, you only need probably about, I don't know how much exactly, probably 14 strength to two-hand this because I think it's 20 strength. It doesn't really scale much off strength. It's going to be dexterity for all the lightning damage. Same stats as before. And one of the most fun Ashes of War to buff your weapon, Lightning Slash. The Lightning Curve Swords are a great alternative to bleed builds. You can get a lot of jump attack damage if you do the whole jump attack bit with the Claw Talisman and successive attacks, and you can include the Lightning Scorpion Charm and Lightning Tier as well. This is another one on this list that I really enjoy. As I mentioned, I've rated these for power. These are all powerful builds for the most part here for the top 5, but I also put the ones in here that I enjoy the most and are reliable as well because I like running all of these. Let's jump into equipment for this one. For equipment, we have 2 Bandit Curved Swords in Lightning Affinity with Lightning Slash, any seal for buffs, Raptor's Black Feathers, Claw Talisman, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, Maleficent's Prosthesis, Lightning Scorpion Charm, Lightning Tier, Faith Tier. Let's talk about stats in the build. Same stats, by the way. On the last one, I was only using Golden Vow to boost Bolt of Gransax because the lightning portion won't be boosted by Flame Grant Me Strength. If you have more faith, you can use Hell, though. But in this case, because we're also doing physical damage, you can use Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and same stats as the first two. And the next one up here is Ice Spear, a personal favorite, one that appeared recently on the main channel, of course, because it is very good. And once again, if you do have higher faith, you can use Hellish Brewery to boost the damage some more, but overall, it does solid damage and it's incredibly reliable. It truly is an awesome Ash of War, and it has magic, dexterity, and AR scaling, so you're able to use it in Keen Affinity on the Sword Spear for good damage. You can also run this as a magic build, of course, too, but you have the option to run Ice Spear on a Keen Sword Spear. And you get Frost build up, you get 20 poise damage on each hit, and you have the versatility of being able to have a mid-range weapon, but of course too, we've also got the Guardian Sword Spear, so if you want to get up close and do some damage that way too, it is a solid, well-rounded weapon. By the way, this is my alternate channel, so we're mainly going to be taking on side bosses and stuff as we do shorter videos on this channel. It's going to have a focus on shorter videos. If you haven't checked out my main channel, Your Average Gamer, be sure to check that out. It's got all the bigger stuff on there, lots of awesome list videos, and a pretty good following. It's an awesome channel and an amazing community. And no, that's not like a major brag here. It's just a really nice community. We have a very friendly community, the Discord and everything, the channel itself. It's just incredible how it's turned out. Let's jump into equipment. Alright, for one of my favorite builds, we have the Keen Guardian Sword Spear with Ice Spear on it. Any seal for buffs. Hellish Brewery will boost this further if you have more faith. Shard of Alexander, Ritual Sword and Shield Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm, Magic Tier, Faith Tier. Let's talk about stats in the build. Same stats for all these. Once again, if you're able to get to 33 Faith, you can boost it and do Golden Vow and Hallowed Shabiri. For the physical portion, though, you can boost that with Flame Grant Me Strength. We have 70 Dexterity. Last one on here is probably the least powerful one, but let's admit, this weapon is a ton of fun to use, so it was going to make this list no matter what, and that is the Dragon King's Cragblade. Now, this weapon can be a little hard to use directional-wise. It takes me a little bit to get used to each time I use it because you do have the option of kind of changing the direction mid-air, which is pretty awesome. And as you can see there, the slam down does a ton of lightning and physical damage. Truly an incredible weapon to get used to and have a lot of fun with. If you're looking for a good time and you haven't tried the Dragon King's Cragblade yet, I definitely recommend it. It's a little bit of a challenge to use. It takes a bit to get used to, as I just mentioned, but overall, it's going to be a blast to end up landing the hits. Once you land some of these attacks on the Ash of War Thundercloud form, it's truly incredible how much fun you'll have. Let's jump into equipment for this build. For equipment, we have the Dragon King's Cragblade plus 10. Any seal will do for buffs. You can check out the armor set there. Shard of Alexander, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon, Lightning Scorpion Charm, Lightning Tier, Fate Tier. Let's talk about stats. And for stats, it's the same again with 70 Dexterity and 60 Vigor. We're using Golden Vow, and Flame Grant Me Strength will boost this a little bit. There's a little bit of a physical component on the weapon because it does make contact, but there's a lot of lightning damage, so Howl would definitely give you more of a boost. Just something to keep in mind if you're running this build, and you can switch to the Bolt of Gransax. They have basically the same exact setup. Don't forget to sub if you're enjoying the content on this channel. This is going to be fun, shorter side content, and I'm going to put up polls and things, so be on the lookout for that if you sub to this channel. Make sure you vote in the polls, and whatever ends up winning, I'm going to end up posting as side content. Generally speaking, everything's pretty much going to be between 4 and 8 minutes. So don't forget to sub, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys soon.